Why is it that even when you know your product is perfect for your ideal customers, you're still struggling to close the deal? It's frustrating, right? I've been there too. You've done all the work, explained everything, overcome the objections, and yet nothing. The deal doesn't close. Well, today we're going to change that. We're diving into the real difference between selling and closing, and trust me, it's a game changer. If you've ever felt pressure to sell, but just aren't seeing the results, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn sales calls into closed deals. Let's dive in. First, we have to talk about something really fundamental, and that is the difference between selling and closing. Most people think they're the same, but they really couldn't be more different. When I first started selling, I thought if I could just sell well enough, the close would kind of come naturally. I'd explain all the benefits, go into detail on every kind of screen and page and application and report within my SaaS product, and push a little bit harder when I sensed any kind of hesitation in my prospect. But here's the thing. Selling and closing are completely different skills. Selling to me is when you get someone interested. But closing is really where the magic happens. It's the point where the prospect says, hey, thank you for helping me make the right decision to resolve the problem that I have right now. And that's when you know you've done your job as a closer and not just a salesperson. So let's think about it. When someone sells really aggressively, what comes to mind for you? Probably someone pushy, that kind of snake oil salesman vibe, right? But when you close, it's about guiding someone to make the decision that they kind of already know is right for them. They're grateful. They trust you, and you're a servant to them to solve the problem that they're having. And today we're going to shift your mindset from just selling to closing. It's not about being pushy, right? We're not snake oil salesmen. We're not used car salesmen here. We're helping our prospects move forward in the next logical step. And when we do that, we're going to hear words like, thank you so much, from our future customers. Now let's dive into the first technique, which is asking the right questions. And I can't stress this enough. The best closers aren't the ones who talk the most. No, they're usually the ones who ask the most thoughtful questions to get their prospect thinking in the right way. I've found in my career that asking the right questions does two really critical things. First, it challenges my prospect's current way of thinking, right? Inversion. And it also leads them to their own conclusions on their own, which is way better than us convincing someone to do or not do something. And that's really key because people are much more likely to kind of take the action if they feel like they've reached the decision on their own, rather than they've being told to do or sold to. So here's an example. Maybe instead of saying, hey, you need this product because it'll help you do XYZ, maybe try asking, do you think continuing with the current approach will get you where you want to be in the next 6 months for your business? If you're selling a B2B solution. It's a simple but powerful shift. Instead of us saying, hey, look at my great thing, it does XYZ, asking your prospect like, hey, how do you think that your current approach is solving the problem that you're having? Another key here is active listening. After you've asked this question, they're going to say something back to you and they're going to give you an answer. A really key thing is to restate what they've just told you. Something like, so what I'm hearing you say is your biggest challenge is XYZ and you're solving that problem by doing ABC. Does that sound about right? So it shows them that you're not just kind of ticking the boxes and going through a sales call kind of on autopilot, but you're actively engaged, genuinely want to understand their pain points so you can help them solve them. The more questions you can ask like this, the deeper you'll go and eventually start realizing, hey, maybe I really need to do this. And that's when you know you're ready to close the deal. Now let's move on to the second technique, which is really transform everything that I do in sales, and I call it value in advance. It's all about providing a kind of sneak peek into the solution that you have in the sales call itself. So instead of saving everything for the final pitch, I like to give little sneak peeks of it along the way, even in the discovery phase. I've started playing tennis recently, and I'm kind of struggling with my serve. And one thing that I think about that is like the analogy to sales is like, if you're trying to teach someone to serve from scratch, there's so many pieces to it, right? There's the grip, and there's the how to throw the ball, and there's how to, do your footwork and everything. Imagine trying to put all that together all at once. You'd be lost, which is kind of where I am in my tennis game right now. But what I'm trying to do is piece these together from the beginning to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And in the end, I'll have a good serve. And so I'm in the process of that right now. But I like to think of that analogy with my sales too, is instead of just loading everything up at the very end, which just isn't kind of logical and won't be received well by my prospects, I like to drip out the value and the solution and the thing that we're going to arrive to in the end throughout the course of a sales call. And from a psychological perspective, what really works about this is you're building trust with your prospect throughout the course of the call because you're adding these pieces of value as you go, and they're thinking, wow, like if I'm getting this much value right now, and as I'm just talking to Craig for the first time, what'll happen when I buy the solution? And when you get to that end of the call, when it's time to really close them, it's obvious because you've been providing value in advance, and they can just imagine what the next few steps will look like. Okay, so start closing early and often throughout the sales call to make the end of it just like a natural progression to the next step. Now, let's talk about something super practical, and this is the 30-second close. Sometimes maybe you've dripped out value throughout the course of the conversation. You don't have time for like a long, drawn-out conversation at the end. You need to get your point across quickly and effectively, and this technique helps you do just that. Here's how it works. We're going to ask our prospect a really emotionally charged question, something like, what's the impact to your brand if you don't solve this problem today? And it will get them thinking, right? This kind of question gets right to the heart of the matter and cuts through all of the kind of superfluous reports and features and cost and things like that. After all, like, our prospect is here to solve a big problem that they have. And closing isn't about explaining every little detail, and especially in a SaaS situation. It's about the prospect seeing the bigger picture of the issue that they have and how your solution can solve that for them. And so you can adapt the concept of this 30-second close in a lot of ways. For SaaS, it's like, hey, do you want to spend the next 6 months with your team struggling with facing this, imperfect solution that you have? It's black and white, and it makes the decision for your prospect to move forward a lot easier. And the key here is urgency. We want our prospect to realize not just the magnitude, but the time sensitivity of the problem that they have and how your solution can alleviate that. And I think when you master this, you'll see that some of the best closes happen when you just ask this question and come to a conclusion with your prospect. Okay, let's wrap it up with one more powerful tool, and that is closing with stories and analogies. So if you've ever struggled to explain like a complex product or service or feature, stories may be your best friend because they help you simplify the message and make it relatable to something your prospect already understands in their mind. So an example like this could be, hey, imagine you're teaching someone to fish. You could spend all day with the benefits of baits and casting techniques and the type of fish in a lake, but the real value comes when you teach them how to fish for themselves, right? And that's what we're doing when we close. We're not just selling the features, we're selling the solution as a whole, again, to the problem that our prospects have. So by using stories, we're not just breaking through objections, but we're also shifting our prospect's mindset. Instead of bombarding them with technical jargon, let's paint the picture of what their life will be like after the problem is solved. I always say, like, we don't sell podcasting solutions at Castos, we sell bridges, right? We sell a bridge to get our customer from the place they're in where they want to start a podcast that will affect their brand positively to the other side of the bridge where they have a podcast, they have a platform, they have a way to communicate with their audience. And you should think that way too with your product. It's not just a product and features and technical stuff. It's an avenue for your customers to arrive at the place they want to go. So now that you've got these techniques in your toolbox, let's start by asking the right questions, providing value in advance, and mastering that 30-second close to close more deals. Stop selling and close those deals when you have a prospect on the call. On your next sales call, start by applying just one of these techniques and watch how it transforms the conversation and kind of the tone and the progress that you're having with a prospect. If you've struggled with closing sales in the past, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what's holding you back. I answer every comment personally and help you on your journey of closing more deals faster and more predictably. If you're ready to take your closing skills to the next level, head over to craighewitt.com to learn about my one-on-one sales coaching designed specifically for SaaS founders like you to drive founder-led sales. And together we'll master the art of closing and driving growth you've been looking for. Remember, closing isn't all about making a sale. It's helping your prospect make the right decision for them, their company, and their brand. If you're ready to take your closing skills to the next level after this, check out this video where I talk through overcoming the 7 most common sales objections you might face during a sales call so that you can close more deals, get over those objections, and bring in revenue and grow your brand. If you're enjoying this, please like, subscribe, smash the bell, and we'll see you next time.